working? Is it working okay? Okay, I'm here on behalf of my third great granddaddy, who is Simon Pipkin, who is buried in DeSoto Parish, and he was on a burial detail to bury the Confederate soldiers who died as a result of their wounds in the Battle of Mansfield. My third great granddaddy is right here. He did not build those trenches to bury those Confederate soldiers for his third granddaughter, with me, to come to Caddo Parish to be aggressively accosted and to be almost violently attacked in front of the Caddo Parish Courthouse when I came there to defend his honor. To defend his honor. My family have been pro-Confederate back in the 1800s when it all happened because they married into it. And I am not ashamed of it. But I am not going to have my ancestors to be disrespected by anybody. And I will go to my grave fighting for that. And I mean it. So the next time I come here down here to Caddo Parish wearing this flag that the young man had a problem with me wearing, not to mention I am a veteran, served during the Vietnam War period. But I do put things into context. I honor my ancestors, no matter what war they served in. Even my ancestors who served during World War II, when they were discriminated against and they were not serving up under this flag that I got strapped on my shoulders. It was the American flag. What about the Spanish-American War veterans? They were discriminated against too, horribly so. So I don't want nobody to use the color of my skin. Do not use the color of my skin as an excuse to take down the Confederate battle flag. Do not use the color of my skin to take down anything Confederate. And that's all I got to say right now, okay?
How are y'all this evening? I'd like to point out these historical facts about the monument and where it sits. The capital of Louisiana was located there from 1863 to 1865. Governors Thomas More and Henry Allen and the legislatures met there. Recruits could gather there to disembark for their training camps. It was there where the Third National was lowered for the last time. At this site was the last reunion of the old veterans in 1936. It was there at that spot, not 10 miles down the road somewhere, but there on that spot, all these things occurred. The soldiers, widows, wives, and grandchildren worked for years to raise money for that monument. It was not put there to spite anybody, but to commemorate the courage and the gallantry of the men that fought, most of whom, between 80 and 90%, were non-slaveholders. Many were sharecroppers, many could not read or write, and not owning property could not vote. They feared for their homes and the safety of their families. The slanderous term traitors are frequently used. The fact is, no Confederate was ever tried or convicted of treason. Jefferson Davis wanted to be tried and spent a couple of years in jail waiting to be tried. Chief Justice Solomon P. Chase, abolitionist and radical Republican, advised the Attorney General not to prosecute Davis, that the court might have to find in his favor. He said the question of secession had never been tried in the courts, that the question had been settled on the battlefield and to leave it there. It wasn't until 1869, 4 years after the war, in Texas versus White, that secession was declared illegal and unconstitutional. And that was over a bond issue. Also, I'd like to point out that 4 ex-Confederate officers served in the U.S. Army during the Spanish-American War in 1898. Major General Matthew C. Butler, Major General Fritz Lee, General Lee's nephew, Brigadier General Thomas Rosser, and Major General Joseph Wheeler. Generals Lee and Wheeler retired from the Army in the early 1900s. You do not put traitors in charge of your army. This monument is a great work of art and is in a very historical place where it belongs. And regardless of how this turns out, I still believe them to be America's greatest generation and America's greatest army. Thank you.
Maurice Lordan is my name. I'm an attorney. I live in Caddo Parish. I've done so most of my life. And when I was in Caddo Parish, I was east of the river. I got a degree in history from Tulane University, law degree from LSU, Baton Rouge. And I go by the Confederate monument every day or every other day. And I don't think of it as a memorial to the lost fighters in the Civil War. It wasn't put in a place where you would memorialize the dead, which would be a cemetery. And it wasn't put in a place where you would memorialize history, which would have been a battlefield, like, for example, down there at Mansfield. I think it was a monument of victory. Victory over Reconstruction. Victory over the enfranchisement of the black people that were citizens for a while during Reconstruction. Through terrorism, lynchings, cross burnings, and finally through these monuments put in proud places over places of government, they were intimidated back into submission. And I don't like having to walk by there with my clients who are often minorities, and it doesn't belong in a place of justice. I want it removed, put it somewhere where the people can revere it, but not my courthouse. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Joe Young.
Hello, I'm Joe Young. I've been here since 1950. And we didn't own slaves. It had nothing to do with slavery, but the monument should stay where it is. Because if you forget about history, you're doomed to repeat it. And I've heard that several times. But you've got to be true to what got us here. And what he was talking about, ISIS destroying monuments, is true. The Christians destroyed the Greek monuments too because they were offended by nudity. And we lost a lot of culture from the Greeks. They destroyed the Egyptian monuments. You know, they disfigured the Sphinx. And it's really sad that people with this day and time, when we should be building I-49 and finishing up 3132, that we can't build, that they want to tear down a monument. I think it's wrong. I think everybody ought to reconsider.
Thank you.
I'm Brenda Fogg, and I live in Shreveport. I'm originally from South Louisiana. And I knew those statues in New Orleans when I was a child. And I have ancestors that fought for the Confederacy. I also have ancestors that fought in the Revolutionary War, in World War I, World War II, Vietnam. I see a thing happening in our country that I don't approve of. Next, it'll be George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, because they owned slaves. Well, let me tell y'all, I'm European, I'm African, and I'm Arab. I believe the statue should stay. And as a matter of fact, how many of you know that the United States wanted Robert E. Lee to command the Northern forces? And he chose to go with his states because they believed in states' rights. And another thing in history is the main reason for the war, the North was going to put huge tariffs. They kept raising them on the South's products that were going up north. So I am a history major. And the young man that talked with his PhD, Were you educated at Berkeley?
Although we don't answer them right now, it should be directed to the chair. Mr. Westler.
Thank you. My name is Johnny Wessler, and I am a tour guide. I give historic tours to media and tourists that come to town. The main thing that people are interested in when they come to Shreveport Bossier, besides food and gambling, are music, Mardi Gras, and Civil War history. We are rich in all of those categories. I like history as much as anybody, but I'm a rank amateur compared to Dr. Joyner and Mr. Prime. And I consider Eric Brock and J. Frank McEnany, the late J. Frank McEnany, good friends. So I want to thank you guys for listening today. Downtown Shreveport is a focal point of all of my tours. It's a postcard, perfect picture of downtown Shreveport with a majestic First Methodist Church in the distance as we come over the Red River Bridge, the Texas Street Bridge. The bridge is named for two great, but less than perfect, former governors of Louisiana, Huey P. Long and O.K. Allen. As we come past Street Square and over the Walk of Stars, I point out the old CMB building on the left. This 10-story skyscraper houses the KWK studios. And on the right is a statue recognizing the oil and gas industry that is so important to our economy. A little further down, we see the Huey Ledbetter statue pointing towards Ledbetter Heights, named for the accomplished but less than perfect singer-songwriter. He stands in front of the Shreve Memorial Library, formerly the Federal Courthouse and U.S. Post Office. As we continue, we pass the old Woolworths building in the lofts, which used to be the Sears department store and coincidentally home to the first escalator in town. Then we enter the Arts District, called the West Edge. This area includes Tipitina's, Southern University's Museum of Art, the Robinson Film Center, and Art Space. And just past the First Methodist Church, we see Central Arts Station, the Municipal Auditorium, with the Elvis and James Burton statues in front, the Calanthian Temple, and the Antioch Baptist Church. In the absolute middle of all of these attractions is the Caddo Parish Courthouse, with the Civil War statue in front. It is a beautiful work of art, and it was featured in the Michael Douglas movie filmed here called Beyond a Reasonable Doubt. It is historic and a cultural treasure that any historian and tourism professional understands. The statue is unique and gives our courthouse character like no other city in the world. What it is not a celebration of slavery or an advocacy for unequal rights or unequal justice. I respect others' opinions and realize there are passionate and compassionate feelings from both sides. Still, I feel like the efforts made to move the statue are destructive, short-sighted, and misguided. The debate is not unique. I was representing all of North Louisiana tourism, and Bienville Parish has long had a conflict of whether to recognize a site where Bonnie and Clyde were ambushed and killed by law enforcement. Is that glorifying their crimes, or does it signify justice? I think justice. I don't want to see us take a position that is against our collective interests. I honestly do not believe the statue is the problem. The discord is the unhealthy. Please try to see this issue in a sober, honest, and mature way. Moving the statue from this point will be a mistake that will not be easily undone. The Civil War statue should be left standing to be celebrated and exploited for the benefit of us all from now on.
Thank you, Mr. Westler. Miles Robert.
Hello, my name is Taha. I believe that the monument should be removed and placed in a museum of its supporters' choosing. Removal of this monument is not a Democratic issue or a Republican issue. It is an American issue. Governor Nikki Haley led a bipartisan effort to remove the Confederate flag from South Carolina state grounds. I just want to read a quote. She said, "These grounds are a place that everybody should feel a part of. What I realize now more than ever is that people were driving by and felt hurt and painful. No one should feel pain. There is a place for that flag. It is not a place that represents all people in South Carolina." In case you did not know, Nikki Haley is a Republican. She currently serves in the Trump administration. Yet she understood that this is not an issue about party or ideology, but of humanity and respect for all Americans. Right now, we are fighting for the soul of Shreveport. And as members of this esteemed committee, it is your job to make sure that we are on the right side of history. As a young person, it is hard not to be frustrated with this city because you push a campaign to develop Shreveport and to appeal to young people so we will stay here. And yet at the same time, you work hard to accommodate hate groups like Daughters of the Confederacy. Once removed, the monument can easily be placed in a museum and preserved there. But as people of color, when we see this monument, we feel unsafe. And when we see the city go to such great lengths to accommodate this monument that is a monument to racism and slavery, it feels like the city does not value us as citizens. As young people, when we see this monument, it makes us question if the city shares our same values and if this is a safe place to raise our children. I hear so many people of my age talking about leaving Shreveport, and that breaks my heart. I really love it here, and I hope to spend my life here. But when young people see our government defending symbols of slavery, we feel that this isn't truly home. So as you are defending symbols of slavery, please remember that you are driving away our future.
Thank you. Miles Roberts. First, let me address something. Even though that we are respecting everybody who's giving their opinion, I apologize, Mr. Roberts. Please continue.
My name is Miles Roberts. I was born and raised in Shreveport, educated in Caddo Parish School System. I want to thank the Commission for these hearings. I've attended all of the four, each of the four, but I waited to talk until this one because it's more important, I think, for someone like me to listen than to talk. And I thought it would be best for me to wait to speak in my own neighborhood. I walked here tonight. By now, we all know that the monument has busts of Generals Allen, Lee, Beauregard, and Jackson at its four corners, as well as a statue of an unnamed soldier at the top. But the figure who interests me most on the monument is Clio, the mythological daughter of Zeus. Clio is Greek mythology's muse of history, and she is right in the center of the monument. And it's appropriate, I think, that she's facing inward with her back turned on reality, focusing on her version of history, a history acceptable to the descendants of the Europeans who first worshipped her. The war was not about slavery, she says. It was about states' rights. It was about a way of life. It was about economics. She's deceiving us. Yeah, it was about states' rights, the right of a slave state to continue to hold slaves. Yeah, it was about a way of life which assumed the inferiority, indeed the subhumanity of black people. Yeah, it was about economics. The total financial value of slaves in the South was $3.5 billion, making them the single greatest asset in North America, worth more than all the railroads and manufacturing combined. Cleo's not going to tell you the truth about the cause of the Civil War, any more than she's going to tell you the truth about the Daughters of the Confederacy and their ties to the Klan at the time of the monument's construction. She's going to ironically point at the word love on her book in front of her and tell you that we should celebrate the men enshrined around her. Celebrate is a key word. That's what her name means in Greek, after all. And she's going to continue to prevaricate about Caddo Parish. She's not going to tell you that Caddo Parish lynched more black people than any parish or county in the country except one. She's not going to tell you that Caddo Parish right now imprisons more of its population than any place else in the world. She's definitely not going to tell you why. When Clio was engraved, she held in her hand at the beginning a scroll labeled history. And that scroll has since been broken away from her hands, and rightly so. Clio does not have history in her hands, God does. And there's only one who's been found worthy to take that scroll and to break its seals. And he was lynched and executed wrongly too. The monument needs to go. Like General Lee and the rest, Clio has already been defeated, but unlike them, she doesn't know when to give up.
Thank you. Rita Harris. Ms. Harris will be followed by Carl Burkhalter, Sally Cox, and Crystalyn Whitaker.
Hi, my name is Rita Harris. I'm 60 years old. I've lived here all my life. I'm in favor of the monument remaining, but I'm mainly here, and I'm not very eloquent. I didn't prepare any statement. I just want to try to bring some kind of sense of a way for us not to go the route of New Orleans regarding the process that was shoved down the throats of the people down there by a very pandering politician who saw an opportunity to divide neighbors who previously were friendly and accepting of each other. I think there should be some way that we can honor both sides here. I'm in favor of the monument staying. I'm also in favor of a statue of every early civil rights advocate from Shreveport. I mean, they're very, I'm sure the historians here can speak on their names. I know some of them just from growing up during the civil rights era in the 60s here. We would hear about them. So I wish, I don't know if y'all realize this, but a lot of people in South Louisiana, they look down their noses at Shreveport in North Louisiana. I think that maybe we can show that as a community we can come together and not be divided like the politicians in New Orleans divided them. And that's my main message, my main thing. Let's just try to come together. I don't understand why taking away something that I'm in favor of, it's not going to make everybody feel better. It's going to make at least a lot of people feel badly. So I'm all for celebrating anything, anybody who was important in the civil rights movement in Shreveport, nationally, whatever. But I think we should be more inclusive, and let's try not to take the bait of some of the politicians who want to divide us. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Carl Barcroft.
I'm sorry, sir.